Welcome to Wings of War MMA. I am sick and tired of listening to all these people talk about fights, and I feel like they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. So I'm going to start doing this so I can actually talk about fights with people who know what's going on, ideally. But yeah, man, I don't have any friends who like actually are diehard into MMA like I am, and I've just been obsessed with this sport for over half my life. So I gotta talk about this stuff with somebody, so I'm just gonna put it out in the ether. But pretty much my whole goal with this channel is to go over fight cards and really to focus on the fights and fighters that like people don't talk about often. Too many times you like go into YouTube and you're like, oh, what's this breakdown for UFC Paris? And it's just everyone talking about the main card. So I'm sure you can find everyone just sitting here talking about all these main card fights, which will be banging, and I'll talk about them too. But I'm gonna, for this video, just focus on the prelims because the prelims actually are probably going to be pretty fire. Most of the time, prelims are pretty good, honestly. They're just as good as the main card. Maybe not as like skillful, but like probably just as exciting. So, especially if you're like a casual or just starting to get into MMA, start watching the early prelims. I mean, it's great. You can catch a lot of top 15 prospects also like in their first couple fights when you're watching the prelims, and I think a lot of those fighters honestly are going to be here on these prelims as well. They're going to be a couple here that I'm going to point out that I think have potential to be top 15 talent, maybe even higher. But starting out, I'm going to start with the battle of the two worst nicknames in the female division or all of MMA. um, Shauna Bannon and Sam Hughes, aka I think her name is like, isn't it like Mama B or something ridiculous, so stupid. And hers is worse. It's Sam Page, like Rampage Jackson, but Sam Page. R.I.P. Rasha Jackson, by the way. But anyway, so Sam Page here and Mama B. So just to start off, I'm probably going to yap a lot, and I just can't help it. So Mama B here tries to be Wonder Boy. I think I don't know what she does. She literally just stands sideways and just spams like side teeps. Like that's all she does. All fight. That's what she does. She has no boxing ability. And this actually sounds really mean and bad. She could whoop my ass. Like I'm not gonna pretend like she can't. But like, you know, she is so overly hyped, and I don't understand why. She lost her very first fight in the UFC. It was pretty like she got her ass whooped the entire time. And then her next fight, who was it even against? What's this chick's name? Against Ardeline. I remember watching this fight, but I don't even remember who this chick is. But I remember thinking that it was a pretty close fight, and if I recall, I feel like my own scorecard, I had her winning. But they gave it to Bannon. And then in her last fight in the UFC, she fought this chick from India, Tomar. So the entire fight, the most recent fight, all Bannon did was literally stand there, skip forward on her, with her like front leg like up in the air, and just like side kicking her to the chest and to the stomach. That's what she does. She doesn't really counter, do anything. She's just trying to keep the other person at distance with that kick. But really, what irritates me so much is that she doesn't even jab. She doesn't utilize any boxing. That's all she does. Just side teep, side kick, side kick, side kick. That's it. So obviously, if you have someone like probably Sam Hughes who can kind of just get past that and get in, she's not really going to have any defense. Her also, the way she holds her hands is disgusting. I've never seen anything like it. It's not like a typical like boxing kind of hand placement, any Muay Thai hand placement, anything. I've never seen anyone hold their hands like that. Shauna Bannon really reminds me of someone that we would have seen in the UFC in like, I don't know, like 2008. Her striking is so strange to me. And she's a striker, by the way. That's what she's touted as, like a karate guy or karate girl, taekwondo, whatever. Like I think she's Kyokushin karate or something like that they always talk about. So Anyways, it's just egregious and it's bad. And Sam Hughes, actually, if you watch her, uh, she's kind of weird because if you go back and look at their records, right? She's 7-1, highly touted prospect. People always act like she's, going to be amazing, but then you actually watch her fight and realize that she's not going to be. She's 10-6. Sam Hughes is 10-6. And she's fought in the UFC for a little while. Let me see here. So she's had, look how many UFC fights she's had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She's had 6 UFC fights. And she's 4-2. But these are the two notable ones. I don't remember Bruno Luciano's record beforehand, but I know Dudakova was undefeated before they fought. And this is a really close fight, but she ended up winning. She was like 8-0, and she was, I guess at that time, 8-6. And so obviously people didn't have Sam Hughes winning. Sam Hughes goes in there. She has pretty good striking. She's not a wrestler or anything like that, but she has pretty good striking, boxing, traditional. And, she was just kind of able to outpoint Dudakova. Dudakova, if I remember right, she started to get a little tired, and Sam Hughes was a NCAA cross country runner. So she has great cardio, and she's a pressure fighter. So that's another reason why I think Sam Hughes is definitely going to win this. She's going to pressure Shauna Bannon and probably just get within that range because I don't know. I don't know how to critique her without sounding really mean, but like she just doesn't have good footwork, and the only thing keeping the opponent off of them is that side kick. So if you get within the side kick, if you close that distance and get beyond that kind of like kicking range, I mean, there's nothing holding her there. I mean, her boxing in the pocket, I mean, just striking in the pocket, anything like that is very poor. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sam really gets in there and beats her up. I don't know if she's going to finish her, but I could see it happening. But I think that Sam Hughes 100% going to get in there and going to have her way with her. Yeah. So next up, Brad Tavares, Robert Brycek, I think. Brycek is what I'll say. So Robert Brycek and Brad Tavares. If you've been watching MMA for a while, you know Brad Tavares. I remember seeing Brad Tavares on The Ultimate Fighter. I mean, he's been in the UFC for so freaking long, and he's the epitome of like a gatekeeper, and I don't even mean that in a bad way. He's made a very solid career in the UFC. He has a winning record in the UFC. I mean, what is it? I don't want to count all these, but, I mean, just look. You gotta keep loading. Yeah, he's been here for a very long time. You get the point. And he just kind of tries to fraud check people. He lost to Rodriguez, who's, a decent prospect right now. Lost to Park, who's okay. He beat Mearshart, RIP GM3, average GM3 enjoyer over here. But Mearshart's got to retire. Anyways, I'm on tangent now. So, Brad Tavares, my whole point is that he's a veteran. He's good striking, great takedown defense, and he wants to keep it standing, and he can pretty much strike with the best of them. Well, not really the best of them, but you know what I mean. Like, if you are UFC skill level, then he's going to figure that out. That is what his entire career is based around, is fraud checking you, seeing if you actually belong here. Because no matter what, even though Brad Tavares is, I think, 37 now, he's old, and he's been around the block, like, a lot. He is going to be able to suss out if you are actually able to make it in the UFC. Because if you can take him down, you have good wrestling. You have good chain wrestling, whatever. You're getting after it and you're actually able to take him down. If you're able to hold him down, that's another thing too. You're obviously have good grappling. If you're able to outstrike him, you have UFC level striking. I know it sounds kind of obvious, but there are some people who their flame kind of gets extinguished so fast in the UFC that you don't even really have the ability to say that they're UFC level talent, and you can't really evaluate other people's skill level compared to them. But if anyone does decent against Brad Tavares, then you're going to know that they should be in the UFC. I mean, he was the gatekeeper for Izzy, right? Like, once they were trying to push Izzy a little bit more, I think it was after his Vittori win or right before his Vittori win, he was a main event against Brad Tavares, right? Like he's been around in the middleweight division forever, as like a gatekeeper trying to figure out if people have what it takes. Robert Brishek, I really was not able to find out too much about this guy. Let me see here. I did initially. I can't remember exactly, but I remember just kind of thinking that Brad was gonna. This is like UFC debut, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe he's 0-1. Let me see. Yeah, so he's 0-1, and Fight Pass sucks, and it wasn't able to let me watch this. I don't know why. But yeah, Brishek is I don't he's one of the few people on the undercard that I really don't have that much insight on. But I'm gonna go ahead and say Brad's gonna take this. All right, now on to the dudes who I'm pretty excited about. Trey Waters, Sam Patterson. This is going to be a really good fight, honestly. And if I remember right, I think the odds, I just checked those, are, let me see, I think they're pretty close to even. Where's he at? I think I'm dumb and I can't, oh, here. Yeah, honestly, I am a Patterson fan, but if you wanted to put a good shot out there for like an underdog win, I don't think you have a bad bet putting any money on Trey Waters, but I do think Sam Patterson is going to take this. So we're actually going to have some commonalities here between Sam Patterson and Reese McKee when I get to Reese McKee and how they strike. But all you really need to know here is Trey Waters is a good striker. He's tall, he's long, look, he's 6'5". I mean, Sam Patterson's 6'3", and they have equal reach, essentially. But Trey Waters is very comfortable on the feet. He utilizes his jab and his cross very well. And he's pretty much just going to try to keep you at distance, counter you if you come in, and try and put your lights out. That's really what Trey Waters is kind of all about. Sam Patterson is very good on the ground, but he slept... Oh, man, I forgot his name. The left-handed god. What's his name? He slept Borralho last time they fought. What's his first name? Danny Borralho. He slept Danny Borralho. They were acting like Danny Borralho's God's gift to MMA. And Sam Patterson, in his first fight in the UFC, after the Dana White Contender Series, he got knocked out by a dude who was like undefeated at the time, but he was like, not a highly touted prospect, and they fought and he got slept. But since then, he's had 3 first-round finishes. So he's 3-1 in the UFC. He had a tremendous finish on Dana White Contender Series, 3 first-round finishes in the UFC after he got like viciously knocked out. So he to me is one of the dudes who I was kind of referring to when I was saying that I think he definitely has top 15 talent eventually. He's great on the ground. He has great composure. Striking, I mean, he has power, and he is a good striker, but there are just kind of some obvious flaws that like make me a little hesitant. And I think that because they're both the same height, it'll be interesting to see what happens, because the main weakness I'm talking about here is his jab. When he jabs, he tends to jab and then like not bring his lead hand directly back to his chin. He leaves his chin exposed. And that's the main weakness of Reese McKee as well. But I think Sam Patterson is a little bit better. Like his jab is crisper. But so regardless, Sam Patterson definitely needs to watch out. And I'm curious whether Trey Waters is going to be able to counter his jab with his right cross. And like kind of come over the top. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I really wouldn't. But I also would not be surprised if Sam Patterson took it to the ground and submitted him, and I'm going to bet on that. I'm going to bet that Sam Patterson is going to be able to get him to the ground. He's going to be able to submit him, because Trey Waters does not have great takedown defense, and he doesn't I just don't think he's going to be able to compare to him if it gets to the ground. I don't have faith that he's going to be able to get back to his feet. And even if he does, I don't really have faith that he's going to dominate Sam Patterson. But I will say that if he keeps it at range, Sam is probably going to be a little uncomfortable fighting someone as tall or taller than him and equal range. And he's going to leave his chin exposed whenever he throws a jab. So I think his game plan needs to be take it to the ground. His is going to be keep it at range, counter the jab, and we'll see. But, I wouldn't be surprised if either one of them win, but I'm picking Sam Patterson. I'm excited for this fight. I mean, pretty much like just off the rip, I'm just going to say, also, I love how his record's 0-0. It clearly is not 0-0. I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know. Is that how you know? I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, Robert Rushala. Here. Topology. Yeah. So he's 11-1. He is the KSW lightweight champion, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So he's the KSW lightweight champion. And he is 11-1. This is gonna be his first fight in the UFC. I just really don't think that he is going to win, like at all. That sounds like really bad, but he just does not look as nearly as crisp as Gomes. I always want to call him Gomi, but they always call him Gomes or something like that. But I'm gonna call him Gomi, so whatever. So yeah, Gomi, not Takanori, is I think gonna win this one. I don't know. He's such a weird fighter. I love the way he fights, but he's so weird. I swear, every single time he fights, I feel like he possibly should lose. He won by body kick here, if I remember right, and then he lost by split decision here, and I felt like he should have lost. And I like Gomi a lot, but I felt like Brito won. And this fight was actually in Paris, and which is where this fight card is, and he's French, right? So I think that had a little bit to do with him edging out that decision there, but I honestly thought Brito kind of won that. So I don't know, but if I remember right, he's a southpaw, right? Let me see. Does it even have it listed here? I mean, why would it have it listed here? That's just too obvious, right? Like, why would you list that kind of stuff on a fighter's profile? I believe he's a southpaw. He utilizes his kicks very well. He's from MMA Factory over there in Paris. So that's where Cyril Gane fights, and he fights very similar to like Cyril Gane. He gets on his bike, he jabs. He's trying to touch you and move. But he does have a little bit of like pop. But he's probably gonna just try to like stick and move and take it to decision. And I think that's going to be more than enough. I think that he's going to be able to stay away from Robert Rushala or Rushava. It's like an L with a dash in it. I don't know the Slavic like alphabet, but every single time I see something like that, I just replace it with a V. So I'm going to assume it's Robert Rushava, but it's probably Rushala, whatever. So anyways, if you go and watch his fights, he definitely seems good, like good enough. But he does not necessarily strike me as someone who's overly technical, and Gomes is very technical. He has solid takedown defense. He can get up off the ground pretty well. But just in general, his footwork, his jab, and his ability to like kick and just strike in general and get out of the way is very, very good. I think Gomes is going to win this. I think it's going to be a bad introduction for Rushava. This is actually probably going to be something that I'm going to try to do maybe like a highlight of or like a spotlight of. I think in the middle of the week I'm going to pick like 2 or 3 fights throughout the whole card and do like spotlights on of what I think could be like fight of the night. This is going to be fight of the night. I mean, maybe. is going to be exciting. I can tell you that right now. If you watch Andreas Gustafsson, he literally just charges in. Not very technical, but his pressure is insane. He just goes right in, willing to kind of trade, gets you in a clinch, puts you up against the cage, and then he's just striking. Strike, elbows, knees in the clinch, and everything's really clean. But he definitely has a little bit of power. He has a high pressure, great cardio, and he's very fun to watch. And Fakhretdinov, he definitely lost his last fight, but they pretended like he didn't. Hello, okay, click on your profile, please. There we go. So, yeah, versus Liao. So when he fought Liao, he's one of the Muslim Russian dudes, and they fought over in Abu Dhabi, and he literally lost every single round. If you watch that fight, it is like so egregious. He lost every single round, and they gave him a unanimous decision victory. It was disgusting, but essentially what happened was Liao just kind of outstruck him. And while I don't think that is going to be the way that he's going to lose, I think I just really wanted to highlight that even though this says 23-1-1, he really is not that level of fighter, right? Like, you see that record, and he's like, like 5-0 or 6-0 in the UFC or something like that. You're like, oh, this dude's really, really good. And I hate to be that guy, but this dude is not that good. And I think Gustafsson is going to win. I don't know what the odds are on this, but let's see here. It's like a pick'em. I think, I don't gamble. I don't really like gambling. I think that, you probably should not gamble at all. But if you are going to, I think Gustafsson is a really, really, really good bet. I think that a lot of people are going to underestimate him, and they're going to see the record, and they're going to go with this guy. But, yeah, I'm telling you right now, Fakhretdinov, he has too much of a penchant of getting put back up against the cage. He has that penchant like in all of his fights, and that's Gustafsson's main MO. The only thing that's going to stop Gustafsson is if he gets caught coming in and just slept. And Fakhretdinov does not have that kind of power. He has, decent enough power, but he's not going to be the kind of dude, in my opinion, who's just going to sleep him right away. But I will say, put a little caveat on there. He's super wild. So if they get into like a little bit of an exchange while he's trying to pressure in, he could just get caught and get slept. I could see that happening. But I think that is really Fakhretdinov's only chance of winning. I think he will keep the pressure so high that he's probably going to TKO him or win a decision. They're in Paris, not in Abu Dhabi. Fakhretdinov is not going to have the judges on his payroll. This, I don't even really want to spend too much time on this. Marcin Tybura, if you watch MMA at all, he's been in the UFC for forever. He's just, a good heavyweight, right? He's, top 10, good heavyweight, decent strike, or good striking. He's just a prototypical heavyweight. I don't know what else to say about it. This dude right here is, also his record's wrong. I think his record's 25-5 or something. I swear, man. Is this what it is? No. What's his freaking name? Ante. Walking Trouble. Sick fight name. Yeah, 25-6. Yeah, bro. So, fun fact, they fought 10 years ago on the regional circuit, and Marcin Tybura won. So this is a rematch from 10 years ago, essentially. Walking Trouble is, I'm just going to refer to him as that from now on. I mean, I don't want to say his name, and also how can you just not refer to him as that? So Walking Trouble over here, the little black silhouette, this guy. He is a PFL heavyweight champion. He didn't win last year, but he won the year before that. So he is decent. He's not bad. But my main concern is looking at his opponent quality. Look at all of his opponents. The dude who he just beat, by the way, at FNC, was 12-6. Then he fought this dude who is Fedor Emelianenko's prodigy, like it's his prospect or something like that. He fought him in the first round of this last year's PFL. I mean, dude was 12-3. He literally just came out, stood there. I don't know what happened. Like, honestly, I'm very confused. I don't know what happened. But if you watch this fight, you can find it on YouTube. If you watch this fight, they literally go out there, trouble, freaking walking trouble, whatever. Yeah, walking trouble out here. He goes out there, and him and Valentin are literally just kind of standing across the cage from each other and just trying to, like, feel it out a bit. And then Moldavsky just kicks him right in the balls. And so it's like a cup check, timeout, whatever. Walking trouble, takes a couple minutes, then he comes back out. And then literally Moldavsky just kind of starts to put the pressure on him slowly. But, walking trouble just doesn't throw anything, like, period. And he's just, like, getting jabbed in the face, and he just backs up against the cage and just stands there. And he, like, looks over at his corner like something's wrong. And it's very weird, and I could not figure out why that happened. But then, yeah, he just gets TKO'd eventually because he just stands there and does nothing. He's just waiting to, like, die. So that happens. But then he fought this dude, knocked him out. But, like, look at the PFL opponents he fought. Like, 9-5, 9-2, right? Renan Ferreira. I actually think this dude's pretty good. I don't want to go on, like, a huge... deep dive here, but I'm pretty sure that opponent's actually pretty good. And I guess 17-8. I mean, it's not terrible, but 15-7, 9-5, and then he fights this dude his last fight. He's 35 years old. I just don't see it happening. I think Marcin Tybura is gonna sleep this dude. I think that's gonna be not even a contest. All right, so this one is going to be really, really interesting. This is going to be another one that I want to, like, take a look at, maybe in, like, a highlight or a spotlight. But this dude, 10-1, Axel Sola, French from Paris. It's going to be his UFC debut. He's a lightweight. They're fighting at welterweight. But he's the lightweight champion of, not KSW, what is it over there? Aries FC in France. So he's the lightweight champion. I don't know why they offered him a welterweight bout, just typical UFC stuff, like, hey kid, we have a welterweight spot, why don't you just come in, it's in France, or whatever, however Dana White does it, I don't know. So anyways, he's very solid. He's super tough. Good striking, good grappling. His MO kind of is like more of a, good traditional boxing. And then, like, he doesn't really necessarily want to take you down, but he finishes a lot of his fights on the ground. He kind of, like, will touch you up on the feet and then get you on the ground and look for a submission. That's kind of what he does. Or he'll, like, get you down and, go to mount, look for a finish there. He's very solid. Now, before I even go to Reese McKee, who, like, I want to be a Reese McKee enjoyer, I think the way his name's spelled is really cool. Sounds super stupid, but that legitimately is the reason why I want to like him. Also, tattoos are kind of cool, kind of lame also, but still kind of neat. His name's Skeletor, right? That's pretty... I mean, like, how can you not want to like this guy? But, man... I watched so many of both of their fights just trying to, like, figure out... Like, I was trying to justify to myself and cope that Reese McKee would win, and he's just not going to win. I hate to be that guy. Axel Sola is a southpaw. Reese McKee, like we were talking about earlier with Sam Patterson. His jab... I mean, So, quick Reese McKee lore... He was a highly touted prospect. All the dudes in the UK, they always do the same thing. Whenever there's a quote-unquote prospect from the UK, they're all gooning over him. So it's like Michael Bisping and whoever else. They're all like, oh my gosh, he's going to be champion. But he fought in the UFC twice. His very first fight in the UFC was a guy you may not know of, but you may have heard of him. His name's Khamzat Chimaev. So Khamzat fucking destroyed him, obviously, in like less than a minute. And then he fought Alex Morono, who Alex Morono is like a veteran. If you've watched MMA for a bit, you know who he is. He's like a prototypical like UFC talent. Like he's good enough. I mean, maybe not now. He's getting old now, but you know, he especially at that time he was like definitely good enough to be in the UFC, and that's kind of like a benchmark, a litmus test for you. But yeah, Alex Morono just beat the living brakes, like beat the crap out of him, beat the brakes off of him. So then they cut him, or whatever deal they have with Cage Warriors, whatever. He went to Cage Warriors. He won the welterweight belt in Cage Warriors in like some pretty exciting fights. Also shout out James Burleson, I think, is the dude who he fought to win the belt from. But Burleson has developed significantly better than him in the past like 3 years, and 100% needs to be signed by the UFC because he's actually very, very, very good. But regardless, so Reese McKee, he has a good skill getting up off the ground after he's taken down. He has decent takedown defense. His striking just lacks. He really is not able to control the range very well, and he's tall. So, I mean, you could see here, I mean, look, he has a 78-inch reach advantage over this dude. I mean, like, look at this. This is ridiculous. I know he's new, but come on, UFC. Just port him in. Come on. I know it's not going to have his reach on here, but he's short. Or much shorter than Reese McKee. He's 5'11". So, 5'11", 6'2". He has a long, long reach. And so I could see him, and he's a higher weight class than him. Axel Sola was a welterweight like 2 or 3 years ago or something like that, and then he dropped down and won the lightweight belt in his local organization, defended it a couple times. So he's a lightweight. He is a lightweight, and he's fighting welterweight. So this is just going to be a weird one. I think Axel is going to win. I think that because he's a southpaw and Reese McKee has a penchant for kind of just going out and lazily touching people with his jab, what's going to happen is he's going to leave himself open too much, like he does every single fight. He's done this for years and years and years, and Sola is just going to touch him up. Instead of over the top, he's just going to slip the jab, and he's going to throw the left cross right down the middle. Reese McKee has no head movement to speak of. It's pretty bad. And I don't think he's going to get stopped. Michael Bisping has coined him the Irish zombie because he like just takes so much punishment and doesn't get finished. But, I don't think Sola is going to come up a weight class and finish him. At least not strikes. But I think that Sola, unanimous decision, he's going to just touch him up, and I think that's really just going to be what it is. Maybe he's going to get him up against a cage, take him down a couple times, whatever. But I think that he's just going to be able to, Sola's going to be able to counter McKee and his jab. And I think that's really what it's going to be. The key here for McKee is, and by the way, McKee is 0-4 in the UFC. 0-4. So, over 2 different stints. So if he does not win this, this guy's a highly touted French prospect. He's 10-0. So he might not be having people jumping up and down talking about how amazing he is, but he is a decent French prospect that people have talked about before. So if Reese McKee has any hopes of staying in the UFC, he needs to win this fight. And he's just going to have to maintain the distance. He's going to have to throw teeps and jabs and, just keep the punches straight and not get overly excited. But, oftentimes in his fights, he just loses his composure a little bit. And, yeah, he just can't control the distance very well. And it just doesn't end well with him. I mean, he hasn't been able to use, God's gifts to his fullest ability. He just doesn't fight like a super tall fighter, really. He just gets taken advantage of. People just kind of walk in the void. But yeah, so Axel Sola, UD is what I think. Umar Sy. So this will be pretty interesting. but I do think Sai's gonna win. I think that he's just gonna keep it standing and just piece him up. I don't really think it's gonna be too difficult for him because if I remember right, I mean Brenson Ribeiro. Uh, I mean, let me look here, but I don't recall if he has decent takedowns or anything like that, and that really is what he's gonna have to try to expose. Um, yeah, I mean, this isn't really telling me anything, but yeah, I mean, he's not gonna be shooting for takedowns, so he's gonna get outstruck. So that's what I thought. So Umar Sy, he's a pretty dang good striker. He's I think I don't know how they do the American top team like offshoots. He's some sort of European top team. Umar Sy is, but yeah, I mean he's solid. He just kind of like puts the pressure on you throughout the fight. He does a really good job of targeting the legs, calf kicks, throwing the kicks up a little bit higher, and just changing levels with his strikes. But he also is able to really utilize his jab very well. He can kind of just jab you, all while trying to like move forward and put your back up against the cage. And so he's just going to try to do that. And I really don't think he's going to get outstruck by Ribeiro. But anything can happen. But I think Sai's going to just kind of wear him down and either eventually TKO him in the late rounds or he's going to win a unanimous decision. I don't think there's really too much to this fight other than striking matchup. I think Sai's a better striker. I think he's going to be able to control the pace, the distance, put the pressure on whenever he really wants. I think he's going to be able to finish him. But yeah. So that's all the prelims. I'm probably going to do another video for the main card as well, but I wanted to give some love for the preliminary fighters and go a little bit more in depth with all of their fights and a lot of other YouTubers and podcasters and stuff do because they don't get enough love, and I think a lot of the prelims actually have the ability to be really exciting. This will be a really interesting fight, McKee and Sola. This will probably be a good technical striking battle, Sai and Ribeiro. Tabura and Ante Delija, I think this is going to really be a just KO. I don't know who's going to get knocked out. Well, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be Delija. Tabura's probably just going to sleep him. This has Fight of the Night written all over it. I think this could be extremely interesting, and I think Gustafsson wins. Just to recap, and I think Gomi wins by decision here. I think Patterson, while he could get stopped by Trey Waters, I think what's going to happen is he's going to win. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins by submission, but I also think that I could see him potentially going to a decision, but I would say probably submission. Brad Tavares, probably decision victory. And Sam Hughes, I think, is either going to TKO Shauna Bannon or she is going to win by decision as well. So yeah, those are all my picks here. If you have any questions or anything like that, just let me know. If you have any critiques or anything, let me know. Comments, concerns, all that good stuff. But I'm going to come out with another video for the main card, breaking it down. And then I am going to, hopefully later this week, do like a spotlight and pick 2-3 fights out of like all the card and to really highlight them that I think are going to be exciting. So it'll probably be like Gustafsson, I don't know, might also be the main event, and I don't know, I think Oki and Jones has the ability to be really exciting, but I don't know. We'll revisit that in my main card video. But yeah, so this is the prelim vid. Shout out to everybody who's watching. I'm gonna try and keep it going. See if I can make this kind of like a little bit of a habit, and hopefully we can create a little bit of community. Just talk about some fights.